What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a brand new video. Now today you join me for another car review. As you can see, I have with me here a big dog. This is the BMW X5 M50i, the model you get just before the proper M car, the X5 M, which is still cool. Now big thanks to the owner of this car for bringing it out here for me to do a review on. Do check out his Instagram, which is on screen right now, because he does actually have some really cool cars, including a BMW M8 and M3. Go see for yourself. Now I really do hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let's get right into it. So the BMW X5, now this is the 4th generation. It is in its M50i specification, which is the model just below the proper M car, the X5 M. Now it does have some unique touches to it. Now normally M Lite cars have some unique touches to them to differentiate them from the lower base models. Now with this one, you find all these grey finishes on the grille, on the mirrors, on the lower section of the bumper right here, and I'll show you all the details as we walk around. Speaking of the grille can open and shut. It will stay shut to make the car more aerodynamically efficient, and it will open up when the car needs more cooling. You have all these scoops and openings down here for the intakes and radiators. You have an air curtain right here. You can see it's functional to smoothen out the airflow around the car. BMW laser lights with a range of around 800 meters, which is insane. It literally says BMW laser right there. If you come around to the side, this one is spec'd with 22-inch rims gripped by 275mm section tires, which is really insane. This being an M Performance car, you get M Performance brakes. You know this through the blue brake calipers. There's this little piece right here which is completely fake. There's a small M badge, and also the badging all around the car have the same unique gray touch, and in the sunshine it almost looks champagne gold like, which is quite cool. You find the same gray finish on the mirror housings, and if we come more to the back, you get LED tail lights, and as you can see, the badging on the back, the same gray like finish, M50i model designation. And on the M50i and M50d, they do have slightly more unique exhaust tailpipes. You have this huge surround, and inside you find two exhaust tailpipes, and in total the thing has 4 pipes. So as you can see, it is an incredible looking thing. It's massive and it's so present. It has so much presence. So let's check out the interior. So guys, inside the BMW X5 M50i, and man, I have to say, inside there, it's glorious, it's beautiful. Starting with the seats, you have these BMW individual seats which are covered in merino leather, BMW Term 4 Napa leather. You also find it on the armrest. The top of the dashboard is also covered in some nice leather. The stitching is also beautiful, and this era of BMW was when they were obsessed with the Swarovski crystal. It's a bit hard to pronounce, but I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it was actually an optional extra. So you find it on the gear lever, you find it on the top of the iDrive controller. You also find some of it on the volume knob, which is absolutely beautiful. Now I think I'll put the engine on. Oh, it's also on the engine start-stop button, which is quite cool. Now I'll put the car on to run through the iDrive system and the instrument cluster. Now, I mean, during this era, BMW's iDrive system was class leading, simply because it was very simple to navigate and it just worked phenomenally. Now you can control it through the wheel, or you can touch the screen. It's actually touch screen. The menus are nice and easy to navigate through. It's also available with Apple CarPlay, but I think with this era they were not offering Android Auto, or it was wired Android Auto, something like that. But yeah, you have your media, you also have your navigation, you can put it up on the whole screen, and also the inbuilt navigation is actually quite cool. The screen itself is nice and big. I'll put the actual size of it on screen right now, but I won't really go deep into it. Now, the problem that BMW had with this era is the instrument cluster. The main issue is it just looks a bit too bland. It's all too dark, especially when bright light hits it. It's a bit hard to see some of the menus, and yeah, the reverse ref counter, it just didn't work all too well. Now they finally improved it now with the new huge curved display. It's a lot better than this era, but you can still display a map here in the center, and you get all sorts of information like you do find in so many other premium cars: tire pressure, menus, boost gauges, Newton meter gauges, and yeah, a bunch of stuff that you'd come to expect with instrument clusters. Next up, I'll get into practicality. Now, practicality in here, it is amazing. Now, the door pockets, for one, huge. You can fit like an absolutely big bottle right there in the center. You have a center cubby, which is housed by the center armrest, and the cubby itself is absolutely massive. Inside here you find one USB-C port, which is quite nice. In the center console there is a storage bin. I have to push it once for it to open. It's not really opening. Okay, now I got it right. Now, you also find two cup holders in here, which are heated and cooled, which is cool. So if you have a warm drink, you can push one button and the thing will keep your drink warm, or there's also an option of keeping a cool drink cooler. So yeah, that's nice. There's also one USB-A port. There is a cigarette lighter or a 12-volt socket, and yeah, it is absolutely nice. I think this pen is what was interrupting it from opening. Glove box, nice and well dampened. It is absolutely huge, lined with felt. And yeah, that's pretty much all your practicality in here. And man, oh, this interior is really nice. There's also ambient lighting all over. The sign is bright right now, it's hard to see. Now you have memory function seats, which are electrically operated, which is cool. And also I just noticed on the door sill you have illuminated door sills, and they're written M50i, which is really nice. Quality is so nice. Everything you touch and interact with feels nice and premium. It feels solid. This one is spec'd with the Harman Kardon sound system. You can further upgrade to the Bowers and Wilkins. You have a huge panoramic sunroof, and you could spec it with a sunroof that lights up. I think that is an optional extra, so the ambient lighting will literally extend to the sunroof, which is quite cool. Now I think let's hop into the back seat and see how the room is back there and all the features it has. So the back seat. Now we'll start with the room back here. As you can see, plenty of knee room, plenty of leg room to stretch, and yeah, it's so spacious back here. No central transmission tunnel. It's literally very flat, so it's easy to move in between either side, and the person sitting in the middle seat doesn't feel like they're cramped up. So yeah, I'm really impressed. It's a very practical thing. Now the whole car has 4-zone climate control, so even in the rear, both passengers can set up their own temperatures, which is quite nice. There's a little storage binnacle here where you can fit like a phone, but sadly there are no charging ports. There is though one 12-volt socket where you can use an adapter to fit something to charge up. So back here you still get the nice maroon leather, which is quite lovely. And you have the center armrest where you find hidden or concealed cup holders. Finally, I think this is the first ever car I've ever reviewed with concealed cup holders. VW can learn a thing or two. Now there's also a storage bucket. It's just so practical in here. There's also through loading, so you can carry in longer items into the rear. As you can see, the whole thing is very nice and practical. There is also rear sunshades. Can protect yourself from the sun. If they can just hook up, they don't want to hook up. But yeah, as you can see, there's rear sunshades, nice and lovely. Ambient lighting carries over to the back, and yeah, that's your lot back here. So the rear boot on the X5, as you can see, it has a split tailgate. So the size is 650 liters, which is absolutely massive. There is an underfloor, and I like how the whole thing has gas struts to hold it in place. You find a spare wheel, and there's a lot of room down here to chuck in some extra stuff. There's also a deployable tow hook where the button is right there. You press it, the tow hook will deploy, and you can also tuck it away using the same button. There's some netting on either side, and the whole boot is very nice and premium. The whole thing is actually power operated, so when you push the button, it closes the entire split, which is very nice and handy. So let's break down the pricing on these. It's actually quite simple and straightforward. Value on these right now goes anywhere from R1,000,000 all the way up to $1.5 million for the more low mileage vehicles. And yeah, that's pretty much all your pricing and value on these cars currently. So let's get technical. We'll of course start with the engine. Now this is actually a variant of the S63 motor. That's the motor you find in the X6M, X5 M, M5 and so on. So it's still a 4.4 liter twin turbo V8, but in this case it's making 390 kilowatts, which is around 530 horsepower, and the same 750 newton meters of torque that you find in the proper M cars. It's of course all-wheel drive. It's mated to the 8-speed ZF transmission, and I quite like how even though this is an M-Lite car, you still find some proper chassis bracing to make it handle proper. It's a BMW after all. Let's actually take a listen to the exhaust and experience how this thing drives. So guys, you joined me inside the X5 M50i, and already just driving for a few meters you can tell how nice and supple the suspension is. So where this car shines compared to the full-blown M cars is when it comes to ride quality, living with it on a day-to-day basis, stuff like that, because the X6M and X5M are actually very rough and too stiff when it comes to the suspension and chassis setup. So this feels very nice and soft, and you can just, it's so relaxing basically, and that's where it actually shines. And when it comes to performance, it's actually not far off from those cars. And what I like is the way the motor is set up in the 50i cars. It's very rumbly. You have that deep V8 grunt compared to the proper M cars. I don't know what the setup is. It's almost like this motor is cross plane and the other motors in the M cars is a flat plane crank like you get on like supercars, Ferraris, with that flat high pitched note. It's almost like that. And the way this gearbox is so responsive, it's just like literally at the tap of your fingertip it gives you the next gear. I think where it falls off is just a bit on the downshifts. They are not really as quick as on a dual clutch, but the upshifts, man, it is just so raucous and insane. Yeah man, if you're looking for something that's subtle, still has great performance, it's amazing to live with every day, this is your car, because it just blends in a bit. It's more of a if you know you know type of vehicle. So let's experience. Oh man, this thing is literally a big boat, and sitting inside here you sit so high up, and when you accelerate the nose does pitch a bit, although it's not as hectic as in say a Range Rover. Still feels very compliant under load. I guess that's what you get with the all the chassis bracing that we just saw when we were doing the review. Oh, that 700 Newton meters is a lot. Once you get going, it's, oh my goodness. So what I'm saying is I would be happy living with this and not having an M car. Of course, when you bump into the X6M or X5 M, you'll always be reminded that, ah man, that's the car I actually want. But they're not far off. They're not far off at all. So I'll do a pull away right here. Man, this thing is extremely fast, and the road we're currently driving on is literally not the best road. And the car still does a great job at, you know, cushioning out the bumps and all. But I'll do one last pull now and conclude the video. And yeah, that is my take on the X5 M50i. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. And until next time, I'll do one last one. That's cheers from me.